Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a deeply relatable spiritual reflection sourced directly from a recent homily by Father Joel Jormer. It touches on a quiet and frankly often painful reality that pretty much all of us experience at some point, that crushing feeling of unappreciated hard work. So we're going to look at why we feel so unseen and how a really simple perspective shift can actually change everything.
You know that feeling, right? Has there ever been a time where you felt like literally nobody was noticing your effort? It's an incredibly lonely reality. Maybe you're working crazy hard at your job, or you're enduring a hidden sickness, or you're making massive personal sacrifices for your family, and it just feels like you're doing it in an absolute vacuum. You're exhausted, but nobody is clapping. Nobody's even saying thank you. It's a universal human wound. But as we're about to see, we might just be looking for validation in all the wrong places.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, The Burned Fish, a story of imperfect love. We're looking at a powerful narrative here that completely shifts our perspective on what actually matters.
So picture this. There's a young boy who desperately wants to make his widowed father happy. He knows his dad works day and night just to keep a roof over their heads. So the boy quietly skips his own meals. He saves up his school lunch money for days until he finally has enough to buy his dad's favorite food, a fish from the local market. He is so excited to surprise him. But, well, being just a kid with zero cooking experience, things go terribly wrong. The pan gets way too hot, smoke fills the entire room, and the fish is burned to an absolute crisp. Just a total culinary disaster.
Now you'd think the dad would be furious, right? Imagine the boy's devastation. He's thinking, I'm a total failure. He's going to be so mad. When the exhausted father finally walks through the door, the boy serves this charred, blackened fish, just hanging his head in shame. But the father doesn't yell. Instead, he quietly picks up his fork, takes a bite of this ruined meal, looks right at his son, smiles, and tells him it's absolutely perfect.
And when the boy, completely confused, points out that the fish is ruined, the father replies with something incredibly beautiful. He says, I'm not just eating the fish, I'm receiving the love you put into it. This right here is the absolute core of Father Garuz's message. God is exactly like this father. When we offer up our daily work or our struggles, we often worry that our efforts are messy, or imperfect, or burnt. But God looks right past that ruined exterior. He's not looking for a flawless performance. He's looking at the pure love behind what we do.
Which brings us right to Section 2, the widow's coins, giving from the heart. It turns out this modern story of the burned fish actually has a direct, ancient parallel in the Gospel of Mark.
Let's set the scene. We're in the ancient temple, and Jesus is sitting there, just quietly observing the offering box. Wealthy individuals are striding by, confidently dropping in large, impressive sums of money. You can almost hear the loud clanking of heavy coins echoing off the courtyard walls, right? It's highly visible, it's grand, and it practically demands the applause of everyone watching. But here's the catch, they're giving from their surplus. It's just their leftover wealth.
Then, slipping through that same crowd, comes a poor widow. She has absolutely no status, no influence, zero wealth. She quietly steps up and drops in 2 tiny coins, basically the equivalent of pennies. To the rest of the world, this contribution is completely invisible, almost embarrassingly small. But Jesus specifically singles her out. Why? Because while the rich gave what they didn't really need, she gave everything she had to live on. That tiny, nearly silent offering was actually a massive, life-altering sacrifice.
And this brilliantly illustrates a profound truth. Anybody can give, or, just go through the motions of giving. But only truly faithful, dedicated people can give with genuine love. A tiny gift wrapped up in immense sacrifice is infinitely heavier than a massive gift with no heart behind it.
Moving on to Section 3, God's measure, the ultimate contrast. This signals a huge shift in how we understand our own worth.
Let's carefully walk through this, because it's a tale of 2 completely different metrics, the world versus God. If you apply the world's measure to your life, you're going to feel inadequate almost every single day. The world only values what it can physically see, right? Massive gifts, viral moments, loud applause, visible perfection. But God's measure, it's entirely different. God measures the invisible. He measures the depths of your sacrifice and the quiet love sitting in your heart. Honestly, when we feel unappreciated, it's usually just because we're waiting for the world to measure us using God's ruler, and the world is literally incapable of doing that.
In fact, Father Gatus offers some immense comfort here by logically explaining exactly why human beings fail to appreciate you. First off, people don't have X-ray vision.
They literally cannot see the pure intentions inside your chest. Second, human beings are naturally focused on their own survival. They're fighting their own daily battles. And third, people are distracted by their own personal wounds. Think about it. When someone is staring at a bleeding cut on their own arm, they do not have the capacity to notice the heavy backpack you're carrying. Understanding this completely absolves you of that guilt and resentment. It's not that you aren't worthy of appreciation, it's just that humans are severely limited.
So where does that leave us? Let's pivot to Section 4, the hidden sacrifice. You are seen. This is the absolute comfort of divine awareness.
Let's go through this checklist together because I really want you to feel intimately validated right now. God sees the mother who drags herself out of bed at 4 a.m. in the freezing cold to prep meals while the whole house sleeps. He sees the father grinding through exhausting overtime just to make sure tuition is paid, even when the kids just shrug and think, well, that's his job. God sees you when you're silently enduring physical or emotional pain, refusing to complain so you don't burden your family. And he absolutely sees you when you choose to stay honest at work, even while you're watching the cheaters and liars get promoted right over your head.
So, the crucial point is this. People may forget what you did, but God will never forget why you did it. Humans have notoriously short memories. They might completely forget the massive favor you did for them just yesterday. But the divine record? It tracks the intention, the love, and the why behind every single thing you do.
And what that means is that no good deed is ever wasted, ever, period. When life feels completely unfair, when it genuinely seems like the manipulative guys are winning and the kind-hearted people are just suffering, you have to remember that human beings are not the final judges of this world. God is the perfect judge. He catalogs every unseen tear, every single moment of hidden exhaustion, and every ounce of quiet love you pour out.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, Fill It with Love. The daily assignment. How do we take all this theological comfort and turn it into a practical, everyday mindset? Well, Father Geddes challenges us to stop living on automatic. Be honest, so many of us wake up, commute, work, eat, sleep. It's like we're robots programmed just to survive the day. We do things out of pure, exhausting obligation. But we aren't robots. The challenge here is to become deeply, intentionally conscious of your actions. Take the most mundane task you have on your plate today. Maybe it's washing the dishes, typing up a boring email, or driving the kids to practice, and consciously choose to inject just a little bit of love into it.
And listen, this even applies to those of you watching right now who are suffering from an illness or chronic pain. It is so incredibly easy to become bitter and angry when your own body is failing you. But Father Geddes reminds us that carrying your physical burden with love and patience, rather than bitterness and complaint, actually changes the weight of the illness itself. When you fill your heart with love, even your suffering becomes lighter. It literally opens the spiritual doors to true, profound healing.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to carry in your back pocket as you step back out into the busy world today. Look at everything you're scheduled to do and ask yourself honestly, are you filling your actions with love? Because remember, the world might only care about how much you get done, but God only cares about how much love you put into the doing. Keep that front and center, honor those hidden sacrifices, and let love be your ultimate measure. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the